Cobra Kai has had some shocking moments, but nothing hits harder than its most surprising deaths. Today on MMX Night, we're looking at every shocking death in the Cobra Kai series. Let's get started. Cobra Kai isn't just about karate. It's about rivalries, redemption, and the high stakes that come with it. Some battles end with a winner and a loser, but others leave a permanent mark. Death isn't common in the world of the Karate Kid, but when it does happen, it's unforgettable. Whether it was justice being served or a cruel twist of fate, each loss left an impact. Today, we're looking at every major death in Cobra Kai. Loyalty to the wrong people comes at a price, and sometimes that price is everything. After years of serving Terry Silver, one of the most cunning and manipulative villains in Cobra Kai history, Dennis De Guzman found himself on the receiving end of fate's cruel hand. When he was ordered to carry out one final task, kidnapping Johnny's family as a bargaining chip for Silver, he never got the chance. John Kreese, Silver's former best friend turned enemy, intervened. With one swift move, Kreese sent him tumbling down the stairs of Silver's yacht. But that wasn't the end. Moments later, the entire yacht erupted in a fiery explosion, leaving no chance of survival. Whether the fall or the explosion sealed his fate remains unknown. But one thing is clear, his death left little impact. As nothing more than a pawn in Silver's grand scheme, his demise barely registered in the grand scope of Cobra Kai's history.
What's the deck, Dennis? It's not yours yet.
For years, he played puppet master, pulling the strings of his students, manipulating his allies, and destroying the lives of those who stood in his way. But even the most powerful villains fall. Terry Silver had spent decades perfecting the art of deception, but his final chapter came crashing down in an instant. Already battling a terminal illness, his time was running short. But instead of fading away quietly, his story took a dramatic turn. With Kreese seeking revenge, the inevitable happened. Silver's yacht exploded, taking him down with it. The cruel irony? His end came at the hands of the very man who once owed him his life. While his death carried poetic justice, it lacked the emotional weight of a true tragedy. His legacy was built on lies, manipulation, and destruction, and in the end, his loss was a victory for the heroes who had suffered under his reign. A lifetime of merciless teaching came full circle in the most brutal way possible. Kim Sun-young, the legendary martial arts master who had shaped both Kreese and Silver, believed in only one thing: power through strength, no matter the cost. His teachings created monsters, and, in the end, he fell to one of his own creations. His granddaughter, Kim Do-eun, had spent her life proving her worth, mastering every deadly technique he had passed down. But when the moment came to make a choice, she did what no one expected. With the very skills he had taught her, she struck the fatal blow, ending the reign of a man who had built his legacy on fear. But the real tragedy wasn't just his death. It was the unbreakable cycle of violence he left behind, a cycle that would continue long after he was gone. Some lessons come at a steep price. Captain George Turner, the ruthless Vietnam War officer, had drilled the philosophy of no mercy into John Kreese, shaping him into the fighter he would later become. But Turner's influence didn't end there. It cost him his life. Trapped in a brutal game of survival, Turner and Kreese were forced to fight to the death over a pit of venomous snakes. Just when it seemed Kreese was hesitating, Turner played his final card. He revealed that Kreese's beloved girlfriend, Betsy, had died in a tragic car accident. The news sent Kreese into a blind rage, and in that moment, he struck the fatal blow. But what makes this moment even more devastating? Just seconds later, American forces arrived. If Kreese had held back, if he had resisted the urge to kill, Turner might have survived. That single decision set Kreese on a path of no return, sealing his fate as a villain. John Kreese was feared, hated, and even despised by many, but in the end, he proved there was still good in him. After years of manipulation, betrayal, and destruction, he made the ultimate sacrifice. When the moment came to protect Johnny Lawrence's family, he didn't hesitate. He confronted Silver, taking him down once and for all. But in doing so, he paid the ultimate price. The tragedy? His redemption arrived too late. He had spent a lifetime making enemies, and by the time he finally made the right choice, there was no one left to witness it. Even worse, Johnny may never have learned the truth. Kreese died not as a hero, not as a villain, but as a man who had finally realized his mistakes, just moments too late. Betsy was everything to John Kreese, his light, his hope, his reason to survive. She was the one person who believed in him, the one who saw past the tough exterior and into the man he could have been. But fate had other plans. While visiting family, she died in a car accident, a senseless tragedy that should have never happened. But the worst part, Kreese was never told. He spent years believing she was still waiting for him, only to have the truth revealed in the cruelest way possible, by the very man who was about to die at his hands. That moment of heartbreak changed everything. It was the catalyst that turned a hopeful young soldier into the ruthless leader of Cobra Kai. Her death didn't just end her life, it destroyed his.
I'll wait for you. Promise you'll come back to me?
Tori Nichols had spent her entire life fighting against the world, against unfair circumstances, and for a future she could never quite grasp. But above all, she fought for her mother. Ever since the beginning of Cobra Kai, we knew Tori carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. With her mom suffering from a severe illness, Tori had no choice but to step up, taking on the role of provider, protector, and caregiver all at once. Every choice she made, every risk she took, was in service of the one person she loved most. And then, just when it seemed like she might finally catch a break, everything was ripped away. The doctors had given them hope, telling them her mother was improving, that she might have more time. But when Tori walked through that door, that hope shattered. Her mother had collapsed, and in an instant, she was gone. The loss was more than just painful, it was soul-crushing. Tori had fought so hard, sacrificed so much, and yet, in the end, it hadn't been enough. As the reality set in, we saw flashbacks of her best moments with her mom, making the moment even more devastating. Unlike some of the villains in Cobra Kai who met their ends through their own actions, Tori's mother was completely innocent. And that's what made her death one of the most heartbreaking in the entire series. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. These were the lessons drilled into Kwon Jae-Sung from the moment he stepped into Cobra Kai. And for a time, it seemed like they had made him unstoppable. He was a powerhouse, a relentless fighter who showed no hesitation in breaking his opponents. But in the end, those very lessons became his downfall. In a heated moment, consumed by anger and the pressure to prove himself, Kwon made a fatal mistake, pulling a knife against Axel. This wasn't just about winning a match anymore. It was about total domination. But before he could land a single strike, fate intervened. In the chaos of the fight, he lost control. A misstep, a slip, and suddenly, the knife meant for his enemy was buried in his own body. The realization came too late. The once unstoppable force, the student molded in Kreese's ruthless image, collapsed to the ground, his life slipping away. He was just a kid, another casualty of the never-ending cycle of violence Cobra Kai had perpetuated. And that's every shocking death in Cobra Kai. Which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. If you dropped a like, I really appreciate it. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button. See y'all in the next one. Peace.